What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dawg Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you? Man, I am a college graduate, and I am pumped to be here with my guy, Evo. We got NBA playoffs going on right now. We got NHL playoffs going on right now. Baseball is in full swing. My Guardians are atop of the division. You guys suck ass. All is well right now. What's that?
Didn't we just sweep the Guardians?
Shut the fuck up. All right, listen.
It's okay. Fuck the Twins. Yeah, start that off real demonetize quick on the YouTube. Make sure that happens. Okay.
We're not quite there yet anyways, but to everybody who does tune in, we appreciate you. And while you are here, please like, share, subscribe, all of those good things. But man, we are going to talk and we're going to get back to the heart of the things that we love to do. We're going to talk some fucking gambling today. We are going to talk about over under win totals, division winners, give the people a little bit of idea where they might want to go to make some scratch this season. But my man, Evo, welcome in, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's pretty normal down here for me, but I just want to know what type of flowers are your favorite flowers, Mike?
I don't know that I have a fucking favorite. I'm not sure I've ever been asked that question. I'm going to go with lily. I think those are the white ones.
I thought you were going to say something about bud flower for a second. But apparently everyone needs to send Mike some lilies, give him his flowers because he is a college graduate. Yes, he kind of led off with that, but congratulations to Mike, college graduate at the ripe age of what, like 37, 38?
38, yeah.
It's not impossible, people. You can do it. Anything you put your mind to, even us dumb veterans, we can still graduate college. Excited to see what's in your future and where you're going to take things from here. I've started college multiple times. I've quit multiple times because I'm like, man, fuck math. Like, I'm okay with math. But then when they start going over the stuff like in early classes, that's like, I remember doing this in high school and I remember killing it in high school, but also I'm a grown ass man and I haven't had to use this sort of math because the world doesn't require it. So I'm just going to quit college again. And you didn't do it. You just kept trucking along, got that degree. So I'm very proud of you, brother.
Thank you very much. Trust me, there were a couple times where I definitely fucking wanted to quit. More than in like one way. So I am glad that I got through it. And honestly, I'm an idiot and I signed up for more. I'm already re-enrolled right back in the Cleveland State and going for a master's degree. So, yeah. But I'm also currently looking for a job. Got a couple things possibly in the fire. One opportunity I'm very, very excited about if it comes to fruition. But, yeah. So still going to go back to school. Keep going to fucking school because you know what? The Army's going to keep paying me to do it. Thank you, Army and VA, for all of that. But, yeah, man, I'm very grateful to be done with this degree. Very grateful for all the people that got to work with. And you know what? We had a showing of the documentary that I've been working on this whole year. Did very well. I won an award, best non-narrative piece. So that was cool. So it's been a good go. I got to do a lot of work here in the next couple of weeks to make sure that film is ready to go out and hopefully make it into a film festival cycle. But I think people like it, so I'm very pumped to see where this all goes. But I appreciate the flowers. Let's talk something else, though, because I don't want the spotlight on me anymore. However, I am going to take a shot because I have been enjoying the fact that I have graduated college. It's not something I was sure that I was ever going to fucking do.
Yeah. I don't know that it's
one extra math class.
I don't know it's in my future at all, but it's still pretty cool. But yeah, look, we, you prefaced it. We got other sports playoffs going on right now. Some good competition. A rarity for me as a Minnesota fan. I have two teams that are in the second round of the playoffs right now. We got both the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are actively losing to the Spurs 28-19. And I don't think that this is that crazy of a thing that it's caused Mike to completely freeze up, I think it's probably the computer taking a dump again. But also my Minnesota Wild, who have been actively taking a dump against the Colorado Avalanche. Series is 3-1. So that sucks because, oh, hey.
Hi, my computer died. I'll be back in a minute, everybody.
Yep. It was the shot. But I am struggling right now as a Minnesota sports fan. I should just be happy that we're in the second round of the playoffs in both of those sports. However, I still have hope for my Wolves. They're looking all right. The Wild are not looking so good, which is tough in my household because my wife is from Colorado and she knows nothing about the Avalanche or hockey, but she still tries to give me guff about it. But that's okay. We got Mike's Cavaliers also in the playoffs still, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't been following them as much because I've just been focused on my team here. Let me pull this up real quick and see where we are at in the playoffs with the Cavs. They're tied 2-2. Game 5 is tomorrow versus the Pistons. So my Wolves and Spurs are also 2-2, which means this game's pretty important. We are making a little bit of comeback here in the first, and it has been absolutely fantastic. But look, everyone knows we're not we're an every sport type of podcast, but we aren't primarily about basketball or hockey or baseball. We're definitely into football, and today what we're going to be bringing to you is the over-under lines for every one of the 32 teams in the NFL. We are going to be going off of FanDuel for these lines right now. But if any other sports book wants to be a sponsor, hit us up. We would absolutely love to support you. Just happens so that FanDuel kind of makes this easy for us right now. We are going to give you our thoughts on whether those over-under numbers are insane, right in line, what you should potentially be considering throwing some money at, because I already have thrown some at some of these lines. I know Mike is probably going to be doing that here very shortly. We'll look at each team, the moves that they've made in these offseason, or the offseason moves that they made, whether it be the draft, free agency, or otherwise, and also that strength of schedule for each of these teams, because the strength of schedule is a pretty big deal. We saw that play out in real time last year with the New England Patriots. They had one of the easiest strength of schedules. We had that epiphany moment early on in the year where we started to look at the Patriots and we're like, hey, they're doing pretty good, but look at their schedule. They could easily win this and get to double-digit wins. And lo and behold, they make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Obviously,
Hey,
get there, but hey, nice to see you back, Mike.
thanks, brother. God damn it. I am going to go probably spend a couple grand on a computer tomorrow because I am tired of this fucking problem happening. I have tried several different things to make this work.
We will talk afterwards if you need to. Do not spend a couple grand on a computer. There's better alternatives than a couple grand, even though, you know, this computer market right now is crazy. But so Artie, I just need something so I can edit and that won't fucking die when we're doing a show, because that's really unfortunate, honestly. Yeah, I feel you. But Artie kind of talked a little bit of the NHL and NBA playoffs and starting to do the preface here into the NFL win totals over under for each of these teams and what we're going to be running tonight. So do you have any parting words about your Cavs before we jump into this? Oh no. It's happened again. I don't have any fucking parting words, Evo.
No, he doesn't have any parting words, Evo.
We can hear it. We can hear that.
Fucking parting words is my computer died again.
You're getting a look at the inner workings of Raw Dawg Sports.
Dude, this is ridiculous. I will be right back again. I'm going to get my laptop and figure something else out.
All right.
I'm not taking that shot, though.
No, don't worry. I'm taking that shot.
I took a shot with him on Saturday when he was supposed to walk. And then I spit it right back out in his face almost.
Ooh.
It was an accident.
Some people pay for that sort of treatment.
That's true.
Lucky man. All right.
All right. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
I will need your help 1 second.
Back to the backstage.
Oh,
Well, all right. Well, now I get to try to burn off the next 3 to 5 minutes, and hopefully I'm not too far off on that time frame. So real quick, I will go ahead and start to preface through strength of schedule stuff here and what we know of the schedule release so far. If I'm not mistaken, schedule release is going to be Thursday for the NFL, where we're going to find out about all 32 teams, when they're playing. Tickets will basically become available. If you're not a season ticket holder, you can go out and start to purchase tickets for some of these really cool games. I believe international games get announced tomorrow, but we do already know some of the games that will be happening. So week 1, 49ers at Rams will be played in Melbourne, Australia. If I'm not mistaken, that's our first game in Australia for the NFL, going down under. We also, week 1, have our first Sunday night football matchup. That will be the Cowboys at the Giants. Obviously, a little bit of a rivalry game there. Giants' new head coach. A lot of people feeling like, based off the moves that they've made this year, that they could have a pretty good bounce back year. If there's one team I think that could pull a Patriots this year, it could be the Giants. And then you have the Monday night football game for week 1. Chiefs, the Broncos at Chiefs. And as of right now, Patrick Mahomes is supposed to be back from his injury. We will see how quickly they try to rush him back. Otherwise, we're looking at Broken Bo Nix versus a Justin Fields, or maybe it's just Broken Bo Nix versus a broken Pat Mahomes, still in recovery. We'll see. Week 2, Thursday night football, Lions at Bills. We also have a week 3 game, Ravens at Cowboys, which will be played in Rio de Janeiro. Week 9, Bengals at Falcons will be played in Madrid. And then one of our Thanksgiving games, which we know Thanksgiving is always going to be the same teams. Eagles at the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So that's some of the matchups that have been announced so far in the NFL. We all know the NFL needs to make their money. They need to kind of have pomp and circumstance with everything, including the schedule release. It's not that super exciting to see the schedule actually get released, because we already know for every team who they're going to be playing based off of their record last year. The NFL is able to basically set who your opponents are. You know you're going to be playing your own divisional opponents, so that's 6 of your games already set aside from the 18 weeks or 17 games. And then you are also going to be playing certain divisions, and you're going to be playing certain teams based off of their record. That's why certain teams like Mike's Browns have the easiest schedule according to strength of schedule metrics this coming year. The strength of schedule metric is basically your opponent's combined 2025 win percentage. So they take all of your known opponents, they compile their win percentage together and average it out. That creates our combined win percentage, and that's why the easiest strength of schedule this year is the Cleveland Browns, 0.429 strength of opponent's win schedule from last year. And the hardest schedule in the NFL will be the Chicago Bears at 0.55. These sorts of averages don't always matter, but typically teams don't have complete bounce back years where they just go from being absolute dog water to being really good. So that's why if you were a team like the New England Patriots 2 years ago, you're very bad. So you get a very easy schedule. And all of a sudden, last year, their team gets a heck of a lot better. They get better coaching, and they have a weak schedule. They're able to take advantage of that and have a really damn good year. So with that in mind, we're going to be going through, as we do this, over-under win total for each of these teams based, again, off of FanDuel. We'll kind of compare that to the strength of schedule for each of these teams. That's why Chicago Bears right now, prefacing it, 9.5 wins. They have the hardest schedule, and they have some things that happened to them last year that are probably not going to be super repeatable as far as all the turnovers. That's going to play into our thoughts on whether or not we will be picking the over or under for these teams. But Mike, can you hear us? And we can't hear you. Unfortunate. No. Unless you're just miming.
All right, my mic was muted. How do you hear me now?
Got you now.
All right, there we go. So we are solid. I am back. Most of this looks the same. I am now working off my laptop though, so I'm going to need you to continue to help drive the show. By the way, I appreciate you and all that you've done to continue this as I have been trying to work out my issues on my side.
This is Raw Dawg Sports, where we keep it raw. We do things raw. We do it live, including when our technology likes to fail us. Typically, as veterans, it's just our knees failing us, but today it is technology. So I've already gone over strength of schedule stuff. We'll go over the strength of schedule that has been released for each of the teams. Congratulations to your Browns for having the easiest strength of schedule this year. We'll also go over some of the roster changes and things like that that'll kind of play into our thoughts on each of these teams. But without further ado, we are going to go in alphabetical order down on FanDuel and look at the over-under win totals for each of these teams. We're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals, who are currently actively on the clock to try to get the number 1 overall pick, potentially Arch Manning. Or if you like to get stroked off on Twitter, you hear that Carson Beck is the second coming of other quarterbacks based off of his rookie mini camps. So right now, Arizona Cardinals over-under win total 4.5 wins. Where are we at on this one, Mike? Do we think that the Cardinals have it to get more than 4 wins?
Man, I don't really know because they're not very good still. Sure, I know that the reports on Carson are great. Listen, I was a Carson Beck guy. I think that he was my number 2 quarterback in this class. But I don't know that they're going to really take a huge step forward. What did they accomplish in the draft that makes you go, yeah, this team's markedly better than they were last year? Because they were what? How many games did they win last year? 5? 4 and a half, or they win 4? No, I'd have to pull it back up. I don't think that they really got that much better. If I'm betting this, I'm going under 4.5. I feel like this first year, Jacoby is a pro's pro. He knows how to play. He's gonna, we've seen him put up some decent numbers with Jacoby at quarterback, and their running game has improved for sure. I will give them that. I just don't know that really makes a huge difference to make this team drastically better. I'm going under 4.5.
I think that this is, and the NFL doesn't typically have an active tank. Like, the guys that are on the field are playing for their jobs, their careers, and they want to win. So it is hard for teams to truly tank, but you can see the ones that are not actively trying to make their rosters better. The Cardinals made a shitload of acquisitions this offseason, but they're all lower level acquisitions overall. They had a pretty solid draft, in my opinion, but your quarterback situation got markedly worse. You can say what you want about Kyler Murray, because I sure know I have, and I have to now because he's a quarterback on my team. He has been extremely good. He has also looked extremely bad, to the point that they were willing to basically sit him a majority of the season last year. Having Gardner Minshew there, Jacoby Brissett, Carson Beck, you are going to get some level of quarterback play, and I think that it has a relative floor that could get you to more than 4 wins. But the rest of this roster is pretty rough. None of the signings that they really made this offseason free agency wise super move the needle. I mean, I like Tyler Algier there, going along with James Conner, who's also another good aging back with injury problems. And then Jeremiah Love, that does make a really cool trio of backs. I don't know how they're going to deploy them that well, though.
Right.
Kendrick Bourne is a solid receiver. Devin Duvernay, but then you have a whole bunch of guys who are kind of depth signings, or they are guys who have had some starting experience out of necessity, not but because they're starters necessarily. So they need that depth, they need that foundation there. But I think that when you are the last team to sign your head coach, bringing in the other LaFleur brother, they're giving him a bit of a leash. They understand this is going to be a bad year going into a really good draft class. So it's going to take a while for this thing to matriculate and become anything good. I do like some of the guys from their draft class, but I think 4 wins probably is their high watermark because this is a team that wants to be in a position to get one of those top quarterbacks. So I would be leaning towards the under 4.5 wins. I think Vegas is also kind of feeling that because it's minus 140 odds for that under 4.5 wins. The Cardinals are not a good squad. They don't have a whole bunch of players that you feel super good about long term there. I mean, Marvin Harrison hasn't really become what he was expected to be yet. Michael Wilson is solid. You have Trey McBride.
They have good players for sure.
It's just nothing that's like foundational super for this team other than possibly Jeremiah Love. So yeah, I feel like this team is destined to get maybe 4 wins at most.
Yeah, I feel like I'm right there with you, brother. All right, we ready to move on to the team that fucking absolutely hates me and the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons. So right now, FanDuel has them at 7.5 wins over and under. An interesting spot. They also have an interesting quarterback situation. No brains or no knees. Take your choice. I think that's really going to be what drives this team. No, it does sound like a terrible porno. No knees, no brains, one Stefanski. Look, they've got some good pieces there, but I think that quarterback health situation and just general level of play is what's going to kind of hold them back. I think 7 wins is Vegas obviously does a really good job of setting a lot of these lines.
Right.
They're playing in an NFC South that is absolutely gettable. So I don't know. I might lean towards over 7.5 wins on this one, but I think that 8 wins would be close to that high watermark.
Yeah, so I'm also on the under. I'm going under here, and it's not because I have a vendetta against the Falcons. I just don't know who the fuck is going to play quarterback. What is good about the situation in Stefanski? I have seen him kind of coach the aggressiveness out of players. Well, they have a lot of offensive talent down there in Atlanta. This is going to be the best offensive talent that Stefanski's probably ever had outside the quarterback spot. I just don't know that he's really going to get it done. I mean, everything kind of always slows down when Stefanski's there. They do have Bijan. But is Bijan going to be the 20 carry, 25 carry a game guy in an offense that's, run mostly from under center? That just doesn't seem like his type of game. I don't know the fit in Atlanta is right. I'm going under 7.5.
I think I'll stick with my over 7.5 because I've pulled up now the last year's win totals. They went 8-9 last year, which means that they exceeded what this expectation is this year. And then based off of what they did individually as a team, yes, they lost Tyler Algier, which was a great running mate for Bijan. And they replaced him with Tyler Goodson and Brian Robinson Jr., which will absolutely be confusing for fantasy, having another B. Robinson on that team. But they didn't make a ton of other really big moves other than the obvious, which is Tua Tagovailoa. We've seen Tua be a high volume type of player. Maybe that Miami situation was just super toxic. I don't know that Stefanski is the high volume type of guy to get that out of him, but you could probably do worse than Tua as a Band-Aid sort of quarterback while your real hopeful quarterback going forward gets his knees in order and finds some super sweet fitted braces. I don't think that they got that much worse in the offseason. I don't know if they got that much better. And I think that we really would have to look at the other teams around them in the NFC South to see whether or not they would be kind of getting pushed down this order a little bit. Looking here, we've got the Falcons they're tied for the 28th easiest strength of schedule. So with that, I think that they could possibly get to that 8 wins or more. So I'd be going the over on this one. That's plus 115 odds, or your under pick here is minus 135.
Yeah, I'm kind of riding with Vegas here. I'm going on the under. I don't know that I love that. I mean, Vegas wants you to take those lines, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. All right. Next up, Baltimore Ravens over under of 11.5 wins. They have the 24th easiest strength of schedule at 0.479. They're going double digit again for Baltimore. I know that this is your AFC North. What are your thoughts on this one?
This seems really high in a year where we're gonna change fucking head coaches, and they drastically underperformed last year. I'm kind of being a negative bitch the way to start the show with all of these picks, but I'm going under again. 11.5 feels like it's a lot of fucking games for a Ravens team that is completely changing their coaching staff. I understand Lamar Jackson's incredible, right? Like MVP multiple times. Could have had potentially at least one more with the Josh Allen one, depending on which side you fall on that. This feels like it's a really, really high number. There's a couple teams that I think are going to be really good. I'm not sure the Ravens in year one are going to take this go and just be incredible. There's a ton of turnover on that team. So I'm a little bit more reserved on the Ravens this year. I'm going under 11.5.
Yeah, losing Linderbaum is a big deal, obviously, but they did end up getting Trey Hendrickson. They brought back Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley. So it's nice to have that as well. But yeah, they didn't make a whole bunch of moves of free agency. But look, we just got done recently doing our draft recap shows and our kind of grades over how the teams did. Ravens did a pretty fucking solid job again. They brought in really solid players. And last year they finished the year 8-9. I think that is probably their floor, because going into last year, we thought that they had one of the best rosters going into the season, and then things fell apart. You had injuries, a lot of Lamar being out, and they are playing in that AFC North, which, a lot of question marks on a lot of the teams. So 11.5 is a high total. I do kind of like them more at the 10 to 11 wins. I think I'm going to go under on this one, but I don't think it's out of the question that they have a bounce back year this year and get closer to that 11, 12 win total. I will stick with the under for this one.
All right, brother. Ready for the next one?
Yes, sir. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. 10.5 win over under. You can get the over for -130, under for +110. Buffalo Bills finished last year with 12 wins, 5 losses. Another really good year with another kind of failed playoff run. And they also are looking at head coach turnover, but it's not as huge of a turnover as other situations. They do the internal hire of Joe Brady, and they are going to have one of the harder schedules this year. They have the 8th hardest schedule, 0.528, which is pretty standard because they are used to being one of the better teams in the NFL and have one of the better records. So over or under 10.5 wins, Mike?
Over, because it's Josh Allen. I do think that the head coaching change will make a difference, because most people inside the locker room, and I think a lot of Bills fans, were pissed off that this coaching change happened, especially the way it did. The GM and the ownership have been really fucking loud this offseason. So I think there might be a little bit of turmoil. But when it all comes down to it, it's Josh Allen on the field. And I trust Josh Allen. So I would go over the 10.5 for the Bills, just because, I think there's a chance that the Patriots take a step back. With all the things going on with Vrabel and around that team, I think there's a very real possibility that team takes a step back and the Bills kind of just run away with that division.
To me, that feels like the only thing that's kind of going for them, because I didn't really like their free agent acquisitions. Wasn't a big fan of their draft class. Yeah, you got DJ Moore, but I've been saying it for years. I want more receiving options there for Josh Allen, so that way it's not kind of a one-trick pony situation between James Cook and Josh Allen. And pick your choice of tight end and number 3 wide receiver. So the defense is still kind of aging a little bit. It hasn't gotten a ton better. That's the one thing for me is that they finished the year 12-5. Yeah, the Patriots went 14-3. I fully expect the Patriots to have a regression. The Dolphins and Jets don't scare me, so they easily could have a built-in 6 wins. I would think in division, they're getting at least 4 wins out of 6.
They're getting at least 4.
And that's not all from the Dolphins and Jets. I think that they can beat the Patriots here too. So with that here, let's say they get 4 of them, you need 6 more wins throughout the rest of the year. Getting to 10 wins is absolutely doable. But if 1 or 2 things falls the wrong way, if Josh Allen gets hurt, the season's over. I think I'm going to be betting on the under, which is plus 110 odds. Look, I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I would like to see them succeed, but I almost feel like it is time for ownership and the GM to feel the wrath of their bad decisions.
You think they got to be coming at some point, right? Josh Allen has been bailing them out for a long time, it feels like.
And look, Josh is a new daddy. Maybe he needs to be focused a little bit on Haley and his new baby, and take a little bit of time on the pecan farm or whatever it is and not focus as much on football. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe this is the year. I just don't see that being the case.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Carolina Panthers over under 7.5 wins, which is a little crazy because this was a playoff team last year. It feels a little bit shitty to say 7.5 wins for a playoff team. But then you look at what they did last year. It was an 8-9 record. They were tied with 2 other teams in the NFC South at 8-9 and were able to barely squeak their way in. I don't want to say they got lucky. It was earned. But they have the 10th easiest strength of schedule this year. And I don't know that they got a ton better this offseason.
See, and
who in their division did?
I think that there is a chance that this team can take a step forward. Last year, we saw Bryce Young kind of come on at points. Pat McMillan coming into his second year. Jalen Coker was really coming on. Brazel has looked really good in rookie camp so far. Like, they have a ton of weapons to give Bryce every opportunity to excel. That is in place now. And I think that because that division is kind of ass, there's a chance that they could go over 7.5. I just don't know that I trust Bryce Young enough to put my money on it. And
it's plus 110 odds for the over 7.5.
But then again, it's Bryce Young. You know what? I will go a little riskier. I will give the Panthers the benefit of the doubt. They won the division last year. They won 8 games last year. I think they did get better. I'm gonna give them the over. The Panthers take a little step forward. I don't know if they win the division because I think there's another team that could also take a step forward. But I do think they will go over 7.5.
I think we're probably thinking of the same team that you're talking about there. I will go also with the over 7.5 wins. I don't know that it's going to be tremendously over. And also, shame on you for letting Rico Dowdle walk out of your building.
100%.
Because, Chuba Hubbard is a nice complimentary piece. Jonathan Brooks could be a nice complimentary piece if he ever plays football again because ACLs. And I feel bad for the guy that's the situation. But they're playing in one of, if not the shittiest division in football right now, which is why one of the teams in there that I still don't think is great could easily jump ahead and make huge strides and kind of take lead of that division. And it's a team that we haven't really talked about that way in several years. I will go with the over because thinking that a playoff team that didn't make a whole bunch of bad choices wouldn't be able to get to 8 wins seems a little crazy. So I will go with the over at plus 110.
All right. So we're both on the over there for the Panthers. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Chicago Bears over under 9.5 wins. Now, I remind everybody, Caleb Williams statistically was better, but only in his touchdown to interception ratio and the amount of sacks that he took. He took dramatically less sacks last year, but his actual completion percentage dropped from his rookie year. His yards was about the same. The Ben Johnson effect definitely helped him out, but also having a defense that had a tremendous amount of turnovers and playing a pretty weak schedule was very helpful as well. I think the turnover regression is going to come back to normal. I think that them having the hardest schedule this year is going to really be a smack in the face. Respect to Ben Johnson because he puts together a really good scheme. They've done some decent things this offseason. But to me, 9.5 wins, I think that's a little too rich for me. I expect them to take a decent jump back because they got 11 wins last year and 6 losses. And I think that several of those, I mean, I know one for my Vikings, and yes, this could be a homer take, but we gave up basically a long kick return at the end of one of our games to allow them to win that game. They had several games where they barely eked out a win at the end. And I think you take away 2 or 3 of those wins, now we're back at that roughly 9-win total. And then once you have the regression of the turnovers and the hardest schedule, I think they're going under 9 wins. So I'm going with the under for the Chicago Bears here.
My man, I will be joining you for all of the fucking reasons that you just said. The 2 biggest ones being they have the hardest strength of schedule, and their team was really good last year, predicated on their defense turning the other team over. There is going to be a regression. There's no way that doesn't happen in my mind. So because of those 2 things, playing in your division, where I think you guys got better, I believe the Packers will still always, continue to be good. And the Lions are obviously good at this point, but we'll see where they fall in with Dan Campbell. I just don't know that this team is really going to be able to maintain the juice like they did. Caleb Williams, I think, will have to take a really big step forward from what we saw the last 2 years. Now, he took a step forward from year 1 to year 2, no doubt. He will have to have another big leap forward, big step forward to, I think, hit this over 9.5 win total.
Yeah, look, for sure, he definitely took a step forward, and I think that he could take a bigger step forward this year. He had much more of a pedestrian year than what people might think last year statistically. The fact that he took so many less sacks and had way less turnovers was a huge boon for them. But that kind of put him in the range of being an average quarterback. We did see some absolutely incredible plays. That playoff throw from him, absolutely incredible. The Ben Johnson effect on that offense is dangerous for sure. The defense to me is kind of what lets this team down, except for they were able to make up for it with insane turnovers. They needed better defensive line help. They needed better edge rush help. And I don't think that they accomplished either of those things through free agency or the draft this year. And if you're hoping on some of those draft picks to have an impact early, that's a fool's bargain for most teams and most fans of teams to say, oh, we just drafted this guy in the first couple of rounds, he's going to completely flip things. That's more of a rarity. Usually guys take a year or 2 to develop. So yeah, I'm thinking they're going to take a step back. I don't think that the Bears are a bad team, but I do think that they're going to take a step back.
I just don't know how they wouldn't take a step back, man. With the way that team won last year, it would be incredible, and that defense would start to be in the conversations of like, holy shit, one of the best defenses in the NFL if you can continually turn people over at that rate. But I don't know if they could do that 2 years in a row. We'll see though.
All right. Next up, Cincinnati Bengals over under 9.5 wins. Feels pretty bullish there. They have the 30th hardest strength of schedule, 0.450. So the 3rd easiest strength of schedule in this class. Last year, with Joe Burrow being hurt most of the year, it's pretty common. They got 5 wins. Or excuse me, sorry, that was Browns. 6 wins. 6 wins, sorry. The accidental shot at your team there. Accidental shot. But they went 6-11. All right. And we kind of saw this team absolutely crumbled without Joe Burrow there. Yes, there was a little bit of an uptick with Joe Flacco, but at the end of the day, this team runs and thrives on having Joe Burrow there. If they're able to keep him healthy and upright, and yes, they did add some defensive pieces. I don't think it moves the needle completely. It's a big work in progress for the Bengals, but I do think they'll be better. The question is really, to me, whether or not you get over this 9.5 wins is, does Joe Burrow play 80% or more of the year? Because if he does, I'm going with the over.
Man, even if Joe Burrow does play the whole year, I know their defense got better. Obviously, it got better when you add Dexter Lawrence to the middle of your defense. Jonathan Allen added to the middle of the defense also fucking really helps. I know their defense got better. Did it get better everywhere? Did those two guys make everywhere else better? Was it a problem that it was just their interior defensive line that was such a problem that they were getting to linebackers that nobody could fucking tackle? Pussy's just all over the place. I don't know that that's the case. I think that they're just a really bad defense. So while I know Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen, those guys help, does it make them really that much better? No, I don't think it does. I'm still not high on this Bengals team. I think their offensive line is still kind of porous. I'm going under 9.5 on the Bengals, man.
And that's not like the worst bet.
No, it's not the worst bet. And if, not that I would root for this, but if for some reason Burrow goes down again, it's basically a fucking lock that they go under.
Yeah, this isn't like a coin flip thing. It would have to be a coin flip where the coin is heavily weighted towards one side, because more often than not, he gets injured. This team already is offense heavy. There's so many reasons why it could not work. It's just Joe Burrow's health being the one reason why it could work. Obviously makes a big difference. I am going to go with the over on this one.
Okay.
That being said, I kind of want to see the under happen, because the Bengals are one of the most cash poor and poorly run franchises out there right now. Yeah. To see them step on their crank and not surround Burrow with what he needs to be successful and healthy, as much as they could or should, the way that they dicked around Trey Hendrickson, all these things, if they have another down year, I don't know how Joe Burrow doesn't say, hey, I'm either retiring or you get rid of me. Yeah. And that would throw another quarterback into the market in a year with a really good quarterback draft. Kyler Murray's also technically going to be on the market, depending on how his years go. Like it sets up for an offseason where there's going to be a lot of quarterback turnover and new quarterbacks going to new places, which would just be really interesting to me. Because say what you will about Kyler, obviously he's a starting quarterback in the league. Whether or not he does good this year is going to really dictate his market. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, and I don't think that the injury concerns on him are going to stop him from getting hella paid next year, because he needs a new contract next year, one way or the other. If you have those guys touching the market in one way, shape, or form, plus 5 potential quarterbacks, and maybe first round worthy in the draft, we don't see that in the NFL too often. So I would like to see that sort of crazy shenanigans fireworks happen next NFL offseason. It would be very interesting.
I just was fascinated how you found a way to make it sound like Joe Burrow was going to end up going to the Vikings at some point, because Kyler Murray's on the market. You never know. Everybody's getting out of there. I thought for sure, I was like, okay, so this is all leading to.
I mean, I obviously wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah. I wouldn't, but I think that there's probably like 29 other franchises out there that 100%. Wouldn't be opposed to it. The more that you flood the market, the more opportunity there is. The more that some teams that normally wouldn't stand a chance might have an opportunity to go after one of those guys. So we'll see. All right. Next up, your Cleveland Browns. Ooh-wee. Over under 6.5. You can take the over for plus 125 or the under minus 150. You guys finished with 5 wins last year, so they're expecting you to get right around 1, maybe 2 more this year. if you're feeling bullish. And you do have the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL this year. Go ahead and Mike, take it away. Tell us what you think.
Okay, so the easiest strength of schedule is the only reason that this number is this high in my mind. Because I don't know that there's anybody in the NFL, in NFL circles, or anybody that pays attention to the NFL who is very confident in what the fuck the Browns are going to trot out there in quarterback. Because it sounds a lot like it could be Deshaun Watson. Shedeur Sanders might be the guy, maybe not. There's just so much up in the fucking air on the offense still. Now, Casey Concepcion has shown up at camp, done a pretty decent job. Drops have happened a little bit. But you know what? Fucking Jamar Chase was dropping everything when he was in camp. And he figured it out. Apparently, Denzel Boston doesn't know how to run right, which I don't fucking makes no goddamn sense. People break down the most minuscule shit nowadays. I get it. There's a market for that shit. The idea that the Browns are going to try to be really good, I think, is hilarious to me. I don't know that that's the case. Do the Browns does that organization think they're going to go out there and be really, really competitive? I know that's not what they want. I know that's not what Jimmy wants. Jimmy wants to go under. Jimmy wants to be the worst team in the NFL because then he can draft Arch Manning. And all of those things make me think that they're not going to hit that fucking over 6.5. They want to tank. This team wants a quarterback because nobody has any idea what the fuck is going to happen this year. So let's just get a new guy next year, give Monken whoever the hell he wants. Or if we decide to get a new coach, give him whoever the hell he wants. So I'm leaning on the under. But the homer in me says to take the over. I just can't do it. This is gambling. So I'm going under 6.5 wins for my Cleveland Browns.
Well, I'll go homer for you. I'll go with the over. I like you guys to get, again, last year you got 5 wins with very trepidatious quarterback play. We were talking about Joe Flacco being mismanaged, a coaching staff that I think was mismanaging the situation. You have Shedeur going into his second year. I think that he can be an okay quarterback at times in this league if things pan out the correct direction. I think that Deshaun Watson behind an okay offensive line with some receiving options could theoretically be okay too. I think that you can find your way to 7 wins when you have as good of a defense as you have,
right,
with a solid running game and now some better receiving options. I think that it's absolutely possible to get to 7 wins. I'm not going a lot higher than 7 at this point, but that's why I'm going to be going with the over on this one. I think that you guys can get there. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a great year, and I do absolutely agree. You guys want a quarterback if one of your guys doesn't pan out. And floundering in that 7 to 9 win range isn't going to put you in a great spot for getting that quarterback. But wouldn't that be a perfect Browns thing to do?
Yeah, it would be.
So I think that you could definitely get to that 7 win mark. I will go with the over on this one.
Yeah, listen, if we hit that, I think I'll have a lot of fun. I mean, I like watching us win games. It would be great if Shedeur is the guy that's doing it. I don't want Deshaun to be the guy that wins all the games because I don't want him to re-sign a contract here because that would just make no goddamn sense to me at all. With all the shit that has happened, it would be really, really cool to see us go over fucking 6.5 wins. I'm not rooting for us to go under. I hope I'm fucking wrong. But at the same time, I know that Jimmy doesn't want to win. Like, if he had a way to get one of those shitty planes like in fucking Major League to make the team travel in this year, he would. He would do everything in his power to not have the Browns win so he can draft Arch Manning. That is all Jimmy Haslam wants in life right now.
You could do the bus. Just bust yourself around the Northeast, all the different divisional opponents there, and that'd be fun. All right, next up, Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys projected to get 9.5 over/under wins here. You can get the over for +110. the under for minus 130. They have the 20th hardest strength of schedule at 0.493. And they finished last year with 7 wins, 9 losses, and 1 silly Green Bay tie. Because Green Bay has a bunch of pussies in it. But this is an interesting team, man. The defense, absolutely dog shit last year, but they started to make some gains through some trades and some smart moves, and then they actually kind of leaned into that this offseason as well. Did what the Bengals should have done and actually brought in some pretty solid talent in a smart way, both through the draft and free agency. And we know that offense has the potential to be super, super dangerous. CeeDee Lamb out there is one of the best in the league. George Pickens playing again now on a tag, looking for that big contract, can be extremely dangerous. Their running game, Javonte Williams, can be very dangerous. Getting Caleb Downs, pretty great. If they start to get a semblance of a defense, if they get a average,
if one of the edges that they drafted works out of the 3,
it'll be a good thing. And so they're only 2 to 3 wins off of their total last year to get towards this over-under number. And they're playing in a division with the Eagles, who I think that they took a step back. The Commanders with Jaden Daniels is good, but I don't know how much better they got. And the Giants, who could, I think, potentially be this year's Patriots candidate for how much of a jump that they could take. And I probably shouldn't be banging that gavel too hard because I was doing it about their defense last year, but regime change and everything there. We'll see. I think that the Cowboys absolutely could get to double-digit wins here. So me personally, I'm going with the over. It's plus 110 on here. I think that it's right about at that 9 to 10 wins.
Yeah, I actually love the over here. So cute. I love the plus odds as well. I think the Cowboys did get better. I think they got drastically better. You want to talk about a guy in the back end who can do anything to help that defense out? Caleb Downs is never going to be out of position. Caleb Downs will make up for the guys that are, constantly out of position in the back end for Dallas. And then you address the edge rusher, conundrum all throughout the draft. I think this defense got a lot better. I think the offense was already fantastic as long as Dak stays healthy and Javonte stays healthy, because the running game is huge. When that Dallas team has no running game and everything is put on Dak, it's impossible for them to do it. But Javonte gave them a really solid running game last year. And if that continues this year, I think this team goes well over the 9.5. I think they could hit 12 wins and win their division. And listen, I'm not a Cowboys fan. Like, Cowboys fans, I'm sure, are getting fucking hard hearing this, but because most everybody talks shit about the Cowboys, I think they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah. I don't know how many Cowboys fans are watching and getting hard off of this, but,
listen,
the onesies and twosies we've got, they'll probably like it. Yeah. All right, next up, Denver Broncos. Their over-under win total is 9.5 wins. This is obviously a playoff team from last year. They finished the year with 14 wins and 3 losses. And look, very solid team. They did next to nothing through free agency. Some moves there in the draft, but again, I don't know if that's going to be needle moving moves for this year. The big question is, Bo Nix, does he take steps forward, or can he take steps forward because of that injury? So, I'm not the biggest Bo Nix fan. I think that he's a league average quarterback, but that tends to work for these Sean Payton teams right now. I think 14 wins from last year was a really high margin, especially when you're talking about a Chiefs team that looked kind of like buns, a Chargers team that got the injury bug and still was able to make to 11 wins. It's going to be a tough uphill battle for this Broncos team. And the Broncos have one of the harder strengths of schedule here. Let me see. No, 15th, actually. They're middle of the pack.
Right in the middle.
Middle of the pack. It's crazy with the 14 wins. So getting to 9.5 wins, I'm going with the over.
Yeah.
They should be a double-digit win team.
For sure. I think this team actually did get better. I don't know if they're going to necessarily win more games because winning 14 games is really fucking hard in the NFL. But you look at the running backs, right? So RJ Harvey started to come on. I thought Jonah Coleman was a fucking excellent get for them and will really help solidify the running back room when J.K. Dobbins eventually goes down. But while J.K.'s healthy, he's been really good. So that offense has a solid running game. They go out, they make the trade, they get Jalen Waddle. They still have Cortland Sutton. Fucking Marvin Mims is another dude that I really like. And Troy Franklin is a guy that, for some reason, is just wildly consistent. He reminds me of like your Joe Jaravicious type. You never hear about him, and then he's there making a fucking catch on third down. Like, this offense is really, really good as long as Bo Nix doesn't do anything super fucking Bo Nixy. And the defense is obviously spectacular. I don't think that's changed in quite some time. So I got them going over. I think they are another team that can be that 12, 13 win team and win their division. I got crazy bullish last year betting on the Ravens, thinking they were going to go 16-1. I'm probably going to be a little more tepid this year when I'm filling out my, picks from the season. I don't know if anybody's going to win that many games because it's just really, really fucking hard to win that much in the NFL. But 9.5, very doable for the Broncos.
Yeah, I'll be going with the over on that one as well. All right, next up, Detroit Lions. Over under 10.5 wins. They have the 27th hardest schedule, 0.467. And they finished the year last year last in the NFC North with 9 wins, 8 losses, tied with my Vikings, but technically last. So, did the Lions do enough this year to bring back the knee biting mentality in the offseason and get themselves past that 9-win mark to 10 or more wins?
Man, so I don't love the replacement of Montgomery leaves, Isaiah Pacheco comes in. That's a net loss in my mind. Now the offensive line will probably be better, getting Blake Miller in, moving Penny Sewell to the other side. I don't know, man. I'm very kind of up in the air on this Lions team right now. I want them to be good. I love Dan Campbell. I think the offense took a huge step back with Ben Johnson leaving, and it still hasn't. I'm not sure if it's been fixed yet. We haven't seen that offense really can get going. We saw at moments last year that there were little spots, but there was not nearly as much creativity or consistency within that offense when Ben Johnson left. So that makes me nervous that it's not back yet. I'm leaning towards the under 10.5, and I think I'm going to go under 10.5. I think they can win 10. 10 feels like their high water mark for me, so under 10.5 is the right play.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. I think 10 is the high water. I don't think that they got a whole lot better this offseason. The defense is still questionable to me. And I feel like the flash in the pan situation is happening with this Detroit team where Ben Johnson might have been. Look, I love Dan Campbell too. I love his mentality, but he's not a schemer like Ben Johnson was. He's a motivator, and then he needs really good coordinators underneath him. Aaron Glenn leaves, and Ben Johnson leaves, and I don't feel like the replacements had the juice to keep things going with the scheme. And so I think that 10 would be a nice year. 10 wins would be a nice year for the Lions, and I'm not sure that they get there. So I will also be going with the under on this one. Not just because I want the Lions to be bad, but because it kind of the games that I saw last year of them, they just did not have the same Motor City Kitty mentality.
Right. Yeah. They look different. They really did.
Yep. All right. Next up, fuck the Packers. Over under 9.5 wins for Green Bay. They got 9 wins, 7 losses, and that nice 1 tie because Matt LaFleur is a bitch. So they're projected to get right around the same this year. Let's go ahead here, look through and find their strength of schedule. And they have tied for the 3rd easiest. 0.538. Same
Third
as
easiest
the
or
Cardinals.
third hardest?
30, third hardest.
Okay, so the hardest is a lot different than
0.538.
Okay, so they're gonna have a tough year.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's so hard to bet against the Packers to be shitty.
It is for me because I think they didn't do anything really great this offseason. Not a fan of it. Not a fan of the free agency. Not a fan of their draft. And I think LaFleur is a bit of a fucking silly goose as far as a coach. Not that great. Jordan Love, question marks. Was he the best quarterback on the team? We've banged that gavel quite a bit. I think that 9 wins would be a good year for them because I think that the NFC North is still really good. Getting Micah Parsons back, yeah, that's going to help them out. But I just don't think that that should be your offseason move is getting an injured player back. And that's kind of what I feel like they did. And I just don't think. Have my thoughts on Jordan Love. All right. I think that 9 wins would be a good year for them. So I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, I think under is probably the right play, but it's the bad. Oh, God damn it. I don't like the odds here either. The under is plus money. So it tells me that Vegas. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go under as well. I am going to go the plus 105. I think that Jordan Love is not that great. We've been saying it for years. I remember when I was talking about them in their mock draft that I said that his ball placement's fucking ass. And somebody got all up in arms about it. The only time his ball placement is any good is when he throws it deep. Because Christian Watson can run under it. His ball placement across the middle of the field is shit. So I agree that they didn't necessarily get a lot better, but the Packers, in my mind, have been so consistent as an organization, it's hard to say, no, they're not going to be any good. But I will go under the 9.5. I think 9, right around where the Lions were at last year, is right in their wheelhouse.
I feel like they're the Steelers of the NFC North right now. They're going to get a positive win-loss record.
Yeah.
They might sneak into the playoffs. But do they scare you?
No.
Not really.
Not at all, really.
Not really. And sooner or later, that cliff is getting closer where the team's just not going to be that good. And I think that the Steelers are right there at the precipice. And I think that the Packers are a year or two away, but they're getting closer. But, call me a hater.
Yeah, I just don't. There's nobody on their offense that really scares you for sure. I mean, not receiving option wise, but all right, brother. Let's move on. We got the Houston Texans up next. Over under 9.5. Over is at -120. Under plus 100. This is a team that last year was pretty damn good. They had their moments. That defense is one of the best in the league. They win 12 games, second in the AFC South. I don't know that they will have a problem winning their division this year based on the things that have happened in the offseason. But where are you at on this team, man? Because over under 9.5 feels like it's easily doable for this team simply based on how good their defense is.
Yeah. They also have the 26th hardest strength of schedule, 0.474. The defense is outstanding. They added to the offensive line despite the bullshit that Caserio spilled saying that their offensive line was good. They added to it. I think they probably got a little bit better there. David Montgomery adds a little consistency, not a boon to the running game, but a little consistency there. And hopefully CJ Stroud is able to kind of figure things out. The fact that they were kind of bereft of good offense and still were able to get themselves to 12 wins shows you where this division is at. Having the Titans in it helps quite a bit. Having the Colts with their quarterback and Daniel Jones go down helps a little bit. And I think the Jaguars did really good last year, but I still think that they overperformed and didn't have a great offseason. I think that the Texans should easily, and not to spoil this too much, but I think they should absolutely win this division. I think that they can absolutely get over 9.5 wins. I think they're a double-digit win team. Assuming that offense starts to get a little bit better than what they were last year. So yeah, give me the Texans over 9.5 wins at -120 odds.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think they did get actually quite a bit better when you look at everything that was done in the offseason. The running game, I feel like, will be, markedly better with David Montgomery there. Obviously, I like the receiving options in Nico Collins, and the defense is fantastic. So I think they get a back that can be a bell cow, maybe not a game breaker, but Woody Marks can be a little bit more of that change of pace guy for them. So I feel like that this team is going to definitely hit over that 9.5 mark. But all right, brother, ready for the next one whenever you are.
Yeah, Indianapolis Colts over under 7.5 wins. Now the Colts last year obviously kind of had a crazy season with Daniel Jones doing really good things, and then that injury definitely derailed things. They ended up finishing 8-9 on the year, third in their division, and they are tied for the 28th easiest schedule this year, hardest schedule this year. So 0.465 should have a relatively easy schedule. Daniel Jones expected to be back. We'll see. Obviously the multiple injuries concerning, and the thought of him potentially having like a 1-year wonder type of moment is concerning. They lose Michael Pittman and keep Alex Pierce at an insane contract price, kind of concerning. But overall, I think they had a pretty good offseason. All right, this does hinge a lot on Daniel Jones, whether or not he can repeat what he did last year, and whether or not he comes back decent from that injury. But they had a good draft, man, and they had a solid offseason as far as free agent acquisitions. I think that the 7.5 wins is too low for my liking. I'm going with the over.
Okay, all right. So I do like this team. I wonder if the Daniel Jones thing doesn't scare me a little bit too much to take their over, though. I know that we have seen Daniel Jones be good in the past, but we've also seen Daniel Jones for the majority of his career be kind of shit, right? Then you get the injury, Achilles, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was an ankle and Achilles kind of a thing.
Achilles, and I think he also had a fracture in his lower leg.
So when you have a guy coming back from an Achilles injury, that takes some time as well. Saw that with Aaron Rodgers. We saw it with fucking Kirk Cousins. That makes me a little nervous. I think this team is good. We saw that they can be really good last year. And that division is tough. I don't know what the fuck the Jags were doing this offseason. We'll talk about them in just a second. So I think that maybe the fact that the Jags kind of fucked up their offseason and may not be fantastic. I'm going under, though, man. I'm going under on the Colts. I do not trust Daniel Jones. I need to see it for a full season, especially coming off an injury with the Achilles. So.
All right. Well, you kind of led into it there. Jacksonville Jaguars. Projected win total of over under 9.5 wins. They do win their division last year with 13 wins and 4 losses. Defense actually made some pretty big gains, but like you brought up, weird fucking offseason. The free agency acquisitions, uninspiring. I mean, their biggest move was re-signing Trayvon Walker to a huge deal. Their draft, fucking kind of bananas.
It was definitely bananas. Fucking Borkature coming off first for you is insane.
Yeah, a weird one. And trying to find their strength of schedule here.
Hold on, I got it here.
22nd, 0.490, which is interesting having that first place schedule and still getting a relatively easy schedule. I think that props to them what they did last year. I think that was a little bit of a product of them also having an easier schedule last year. I'm not a huge fan of the moves that they did this offseason. I'm going with under. I'm going with the under on this one.
That same, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. They trade at the end and they bring in fucking Chris Rodriguez and then Bashal too. Like, that makes, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? Like, I understand you got to bring in Rodriguez because you need another guy in the room, but if Bashal Tootin is going to be the lead back,
And I don't think he can. I like Bashal Tootin, but I don't think he can be the lead back.
He's not big enough or sturdy enough, I don't feel like.
He's a change of pace guy. He's a Timu Aaron Jones. So, yeah. They bring in Ruka Roro in a trade, which is fine. I liked him a lot in the draft process, but he hasn't really come through yet. He was okay with the Falcons. But no needle moving stuff in free agency and then a draft that was kind of weird as shit. And they're in a division where realistically the Texans and I think the Colts have the opportunity to be pretty dangerous. I think that the Titans are going to take a step up this year. They're not going to just completely get walked over. So I think that last year I would need to see it twice in order to truly believe that they're a double-digit win team.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed, man.
All right. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs over under 10.5 wins. Kansas City had a real rough year last year, going 6-11. Obviously, the Patrick Mahomes injury affects that, but a lot of other things didn't go great for that team. They had a lot of movement this offseason. They had some pretty rough losses, especially in their secondary and on that defense, but they got some pretty good people in there as well. Kenneth Walker, one of my favorite free agents this year, ends up going there. Something that I've been banging the table. This Chiefs team needs a good running game, and I think that they have the opportunity to have that now. They also bring in multiple fringe starter level cornerbacks and stuff like that to kind of help the secondary and then have themselves a pretty solid draft. And at the end of the day, this is Pat Mahomes that we're talking about, expected to be back for the full regular season. And with him out there, double-digit wins seems like a pretty achievable thing. So at 10.5 wins, do you think that the Chiefs are able to get back to their old glory?
I think that they can win double-digit games, but I don't think it's over 10.5. I think they can get to 10 because that division is going to be really fucking good. I think the Broncos are going to be really fucking good, and the Chargers are going to be goddamn fantastic. So,
5th hardest strength of schedule, by the way, at point
for the Chiefs.
536, yeah.
Yeah. I think they can get the double-digit wins, but I am going under 10.5. I think 10 is that top-level mark there.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. Maybe I'm a sucker for it, but I'll say Pat Mahomes coming back, having a running game, not having to be all on his shoulders. I think they could get to 11 wins. So I'll go with the over at plus 120 odds just because that earns me a little bit more money if that hits. And the Chiefs have just kind of been that team for the past, decade it feels like now.
Yeah, that's damn sure does feel like that long, man.
All right, next up, Las Vegas Raiders. They have the 7th hardest strength of schedule, 0.529. They were dog shit. They might still be dog shit. Their over-under win total is 5.5 as of right now. Minus 125 to go over 5.5, plus 105 to go under 5.5. But they have their quarterback, so they don't have a need to tank to try to get themselves a new quarterback because they got Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins in-house. And I think that they made a lot of solid moves this offseason. Good coaching hire, good free agency because they had a shitload of money and a good draft. Another team that could take a pretty big jump from where they were at last year, only winning 3 games. Do you think that the moves that they made this offseason between head coach, free agency, and the draft nets them 2 to 3 more wins? Because if they get 3 wins, that puts them over 5.5.
Yeah, I think they do, man. I think they get 6 wins, 6, 7 wins. I think this team did get drastically better. Yeah. All right. Glad we could get that in there one more time. But yeah, I do think that they will be better. Kirk Cousins alone will make them better. And then you have Fernando Mendoza waiting in the wings for if and when Kirk gets hurt or is not performing to the level that they need him to. This team is ready to turn around and hand the keys over to Mendoza at some point. And if they're not winning enough, that will happen. So I think that will, if that does happen, that'll be an uptick as well because it'll, generate some excitement about what's happening. I think they get 6 wins this year. I'm going over 5.5.
Yeah, I think they get at least 6. I think they go with more. So I'm completely cool with taking the over on this one.
All right. And then we'll slide down to the next one. I kind of prefaced this earlier. We got the Chargers over under 9.5. Over is -125. Under plus 105. For me, it's easily the -125. Over 9.5. I think that they win this division. The Chargers are going to be fucking awesome. I love what they have done in the offseason. I think that as long as that offensive line stays healthy.
David Njoku effect.
Listen, I love me some David Njoku. I love the Chief. But this team was already really good. We talked about they could have been spectacular last year. Well, they won fucking 11 games, and they could be even better if they stay healthy. Justin Herbert, like, if he continues with all of these fucking weapons, like, he can win an MVP. All they have to do is stay healthy, and this Chargers team is an absolute fucking problem. Give me over 9.5.
Yeah, with 11 wins last year and a mash unit of an offensive line and multitude of other injuries and stuff like that, the team is good. They made pretty solid acquisitions this offseason. They have the 9th hardest schedule, 0.522. But I think that they're able to get to that 11 win total again. And I think that's kind of where I feel comfortable with them sitting, because that AFC West is so good. You do have the Broncos, you have the Chiefs, you have the Raiders that got better. It's going to be a difficult division. So I'm not saying I'm not willing to say they're going to win the West, but I think that they'll still be good. It's just going to be a very difficult division with a lot of teams that are going to end up kind of bullying each other around. I will go with the over as well at -125 odds because I do like this Chargers team. And I would have to assume that offensive line is going to get healthier, which is going to pay huge dividends. Yeah, good team. All right, LA Rams. Over under 11.5 wins for the team that said fuck them picks in multitudes of ways. They are going all in on this one, right? That's kind of the feeling. The team has put all their chips in the bucket for this year, except for their first round pick at quarterback, which was interesting. And now Sean McVay is acting like it was definitely his idea too. I don't know how much I completely believe it.
Sure it was, Sean. I believe you.
But who knows? But 11.5 wins in this division. It's pretty good division. 49ers, Seahawks. We won't talk about the Cardinals yet. But I think 11.5 wins just based off of what they did this year to try to make themselves better is doable. It's plus 100 odds for them to hit 12 wins. And they were able to do that last year. And I think that they've made some pretty solid additions this offseason. So I'll go with the over on this one.
I am also going with the over because, well, who else is going to? I think the Seahawks might take a step back. I think the 49ers probably will take a step back. And the Cardinals aren't very good. Stafford is the only thing that makes me think that this could not happen is if Stafford gets hurt. That is the only thing that makes me say they won't win this many because they're fantastic. And when you look at their strength of schedule, sure, it's one of the not hardest, but it's in the harder side of the league. They are arguably the best team in the league when you look at them on paper, considering all the moves that they have made throughout the offseason. Like they were already in that conversation last year, right? One of the best teams on paper. And now they go out and they make additional moves on that defensive side. I don't know. I mean, if they use their first round pick on something other than Ty Simpson, no doubt in my mind they're hitting over this.
If it was Mekhi Lemon, which was very commonly mocked there, it's Mekhi Lemon. I thought it was easy, but yeah. Look, I get it. There's not a ton of. I agree. I think the Seahawks will probably take a step back from last year. I think the defense will still be fantastic. The offense, with the coordinator moving on and no Kenneth Walker, I have questions there for sure. Though I am a huge fan of Price, and I think that Price could be an early favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. 49ers are always going to be a question mark, but they take a step back and still be extremely competitive still. They've got 12 wins, with like Mac Jones starting a handful of games. So I think it's still going to be a competitive division. But yeah, I think that the Rams, the moves that they've made and that they truly have at this point, it feels like they've embraced the burn the ship mentality. They're all in. They're going for it this year. And then next year could be a wild set of circumstances for this team where things really start to fall apart, especially if this year does not go good. If they, put all their chips in and fucking fail, we could see a complete destruction of this team. But
yeah, well, and Stafford will retire if it doesn't go well. McVay, we'll find out very quickly if he was really in or not in on the fucking Ty Simpson pick. Yeah. If this all goes to shit, so.
Yep. All right. Next up, Miami Dolphins over or under 4.5 wins. Another team that could maybe be in the quarterback market, could not. They obviously just paid Malik Willis a reasonable amount of money compared to what he probably could have gotten. King's ransom type stuff, because he was one of the only quarterbacks really kind of hitting the market with a perceivable upside. I mean, he might have been better than the quarterback on his previous team. Over 4.5 wins, plus 110 odds. This is one of the worst rosters in the NFL. I think that they actually had a solid draft, though. They had to make a lot of decisions to let good players leave this offseason because their cap was really messed up. But they are bringing the Green Bay mentality of things down to South Beach. I think that's going to provide some stability there. I think that they can get over the 4.5 wins. I don't think by much, but I think that, while they're not going to be a great team, you do have some pieces there. You've got arguably a better coaching staff, more stability. I think that they get to that roughly 5, maybe 6 win territory. So I'll take the plus 110 for the over on 4.5.
I'm going with the under. Then I like what they did with their draft. I think that they got a lot of really good pieces. But those guys are all going to be young. They're rookies. They got a shitload of rookies that are going to be playing on this team. How much can we realistically expect from a team that has a quarterback who's really kind of getting his first look as a starter? Because, Malik Willis had his opportunities early on, but it felt like that wasn't really something that was welcomed in Tennessee, having Malik Willis try to become the starter there. Now he's actually wanted to be the starter. First time we see this. How is he going to react? Is he going to excel? Is he going to hold under pressure? Especially with talent that's not great around him. They drafted a couple guys that maybe are going to be pretty decent. They have a lot of 2s and 3s at wide receiver. They have a really good running back that they're going to have to lean on. While I think that what they did to set up their future is really good, presently I think they're still going to be ass. I think they go under that 4.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be completely surprised, but maybe that's me giving too much credit to some of the Packers stuff where there is stability. They are competitive. I think that will be a good thing for that team if they can actually stick with it. All right, next up, my Minnesota Vikings. Last year they went 9-8. This year they have a decently tough schedule, the 11th hardest, 0.519, and Vegas has them currently right at that 8.5, over under 8.5 wins. Again, 9 wins last year with some of the worst quarterback play. You have McCarthy, who has some flashes of brilliance and some really bad play and a lot of injuries. And then Carson Wentz, who's Carson Wentz? And Max Brosmer, oof. And they're still able to get to a positive win record. They were also playing behind an offensive line that the original starting unit played 8% of snaps, I believe, together. So,
wow,
it's tough to do that with a lot of backups trying to play together and whatnot. But Brian Flores' defense, very good. They added a lot to it this offseason, particularly in the draft. And then they bring in Kyler Murray. And I think Kyler Murray, whether you like him or dislike him, he's going to bring a higher floor than what we saw last year. And that's not me being out on J.J. McCarthy, because I think J.J. McCarthy could still be really good. It's a different conversation for a different day. But you get adequate, just average quarterback play. If Kyler Murray is between the 15th and 17th best quarterback in the league, I think that we win a couple more games than what we did. You bring in Juwan Jennings now, really good blocking receiver, possibly the best trio of wide receivers on any NFL team right now. A change to maybe a little bit more of a running game, bringing in Frank Smith from that Dolphins team. And also the Vikings history is that every other year they go double digit or have, like 12 or more wins. So easily for me betting the over on this one. 8.5 feels too low. It's less than we had last year, and all they did was kind of upgrade pieces, in my opinion. Also, a return to the mean on health for this team. I don't see us having that many injuries next year as we did this last year. So health gets better overall level of play at the quarterback position, which is most important. And history has shown us that Kevin O'Connell is good with retread quarterbacks, and he has extremely good years every other year. So we're there. So, yeah, over.
All right. I'm going over as well, man. I don't know that I trust everybody in your division. That's a big thing, is that the Packers, I don't know that they're going to be great. And the Lions, I'm also kind of, are they going to be really that great? The Bears, they'll probably take a step back because of the turnovers. I think that your division is very, very even right now. You guys could beat each other up a little bit, but I don't know that you guys wouldn't be any better than you were last year. I don't know how you regress from last year, unless Kyler is just absolute dog shit. But if that's the case, you'll go back to JJ, and then you hope that you see progression out of JJ from where he was last year. So to me, it makes sense. You guys,
if not JJ, over. Carson Wentz. Again,
you don't want that, but
you could have a worse third quarterback, and we had Cooper Rush in.
You can absolutely have a worse third quarterback. I guarantee it.
All right. Next up, New England Patriots over under 9.5 wins. What does Diana Rossini think?
From all reports, Diana Rossini thinks it's definitely over 9.5. Last I heard, reports said Mike said it was somewhere around 12, and then.
Well, if his wife didn't cut it off before,
yeah, she might have cut it off down to 6.
Yeah. Yep. Look, they had 14 wins last year on a very easy schedule. And credit to Mike Vrabel and what they've done there to make that team better. I still think they have a lot of holes on that roster. I think day 3 of the draft was not great for them. I think that they're still going to be a solid competitive team. I do not see them with the 6th hardest strength of schedule this year, doing as well as they did last year. And I think that, the Bills can absolutely kind of beat up in that division. I think the Jets will get a little bit better. The Dolphins might get a little bit better. I do have them right around that 9 to 10 win range. So where Vegas has it sitting, it's probably a good number. Right now it's minus 140 odds to take the over of the 9.5. I'm leaning towards the under 9.5 because some weird stuff with the with the coach situation there from the outside could hurt things a little bit. Also, I think a little bit of regression to the mean. This team was better than they should have been too quick. They're still going to be a good team. They're going to get better. But the 14 wins was kind of a false 14 wins for me last year. So I think that they could make it to about 10 wins, but odds are that they won't. So I'm going to get plus odds. I'll take the under.
I'm actually going to go with the under as well. I think there will be a regression. Simply because where they were at last year was not where anybody expected them to be. They outperformed all expectations. And their schedule set up really nicely. We got to the point in the season. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Excuse me. We got to the point in the season last year where, like, look at this Patriots schedule and tell me where the next one they lose is. And it just lined up fucking perfectly for them. Now, we don't know what that's going to look like this year. We haven't seen schedules come out. They will release later this week. But everything fell the right way for them last year. I don't know if that will happen again. I'm going under, and then if Ray, especially because Rabel can't keep his fucking dick out of other people but his wife. So
it's like the story never ends, man. Like, I've started to forget about it.
Dude.
Here's the boat receipts. Oh, here's boat video. Like, it just keeps coming out of nowhere, man. It's crazy. All right, next up.
6 has a vendetta against Rabel or Rossini. One of the two.
Look at the Titans ownership, maybe.
Could be.
Maybe. That would require us to pull out the old tinfoil hat. Let's get back here. Next up, New Orleans Saints over under 7.5 wins. The Saints were the last place team in the NFC South, and the NFC South was a butthole division. They got 6 wins and 11 losses. They have the second easiest strength of schedule this year. And by the end of the year, you saw some glimpses of what the Saints could be. Tyler Shuck kind of looked decent to solid. They made some decent acquisitions this offseason. They brought in a Travis Etienne. They had an okay draft. They got 6 wins last year, and they're only expected to get 7.5 this year. I'm absolutely going with the over. It's minus 110 odds for both. I think that the Saints could easily run away with this division.
Yeah, this is the team I was talking about earlier because I think the Bucs also kind of probably take a step back. The Saints team, and you know what? I will admit that looks like I was wrong on Shuck, but everything is kind of going their way right now, man. And their offseason, like you said, was fantastic. You love the get of Jordan Tyson during the draft, bringing Etienne in to go along with an Alvin Kamara, who you can now spell way more often. I mean, I don't even know what that timeshare is going to look like, but you have to think that Etienne is going to take the lion's share of those reps.
Yeah.
The defense is still fairly decent. I think that there's a chance that they win 9-10 games in that division. So over 7.5 feels like the right move here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up, New York Giants. Also over under 7.5 wins. You can get the over for plus 100 odds, minus 120 for the under. Giants had 4 wins and 13 losses last year, but they obviously have a new coaching staff. Jackson Dart looked pretty good before getting concussed all the time. Cam Scatterbo is going to be back. They've got 1 million defensive ends or edge rushers. We joke. They got Francis Maui-Noah. Like they had some good offseason acquisitions. Harbaugh is going to bring a higher level of play. It'll be interesting to see how quick that kind of sets in. They did have one major departure, obviously, there on the defensive line. But I think that this team is probably better than their 4 wins last year. Are they 7.5 wins?
There's a lot of Harbaugh in there. There's a lot of Harbaugh projection in that number, I feel like.
Yeah. I like 7 wins for him. So at 7.5, it makes the number pretty tough. I'll go with the over because it's plus 100 odds.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take the under. I
Safe.
think it'll take a year. I think it'll take a year with Harbaugh and everybody getting used to each other and to figure out a rhythm, a scheme, and how they want to go about this. There's a lot of talent on that Giants team, and they added a bunch of pieces, obviously, throughout the draft and free agency process. So they've got to be better than they were last year. But that division's also gonna be pretty damn good in my mind. Like there are some teams in that division that I understand that we always talk shit about it, like in the past with the Cowboys, but I think the Commanders get better. I think the Cowboys are going to be really good. Eagles still going to be good. I think they take a step back. I think the Giants are easily the worst team in that division, and that does not help their over under win total in my mind. So I'd go under 7.5.
Yeah, look, I don't feel great about that pick, but I could talk myself into it, I guess, I suppose.
I feel it. I understand.
Yeah. We'll go to the other New York team there, New York Jets. They finished last year with 3 wins. They looked like absolute poopy. But they did get better this year. They got better this offseason. I don't know if Aaron Glenn's the guy or not, but they did bring in some solid pieces. So Vegas has them set at 5.5 wins over under. Going over would net them or is a plus 110 odds, under minus 130. This is the team that I truly do feel like Woody Johnson's like, you will not win. And we are firing you still, Aaron Glenn, but you will not win. So that way we can have our chance at a quarterback with one of our 3 fucking first round picks next year. Unless Cade Klubnik somehow looks decent. Like they have all the reasons why this team is better. It's a better roster, a better level of quarterback play with Geno there, a decent draft. I think that they will probably get at max 4 wins because they want to have the opportunity to go after quarterback and not to have to trade away all their draft capital. So I'm going to go with the under here, even though this team on paper is absolutely better.
They are better. They're a lot better. And you're kind of making me think that I should go with the under as well. I wanted to take the over because of how much talent was added to this team. Because I really like their offense now. I mean, Geno Smith has shown he can be good, but I don't know what Geno Smith we're going to see. But you get Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq. Like, that's a pretty interesting and dynamic group of playmakers, as long as the trigger man can get him the fucking ball. So I want to think they're going to be better, but also at the same time, I know that they're thinking the same thing that the fucking Browns and Jimmy Haslam are thinking. Do not fucking win any goddamn games so we could draft whoever the best quarterback is.
Yeah. It's a plum pick feeling for me on this one. And I feel like Woody Johnson, he's the type of owner that will be like, no, this is what is happening. Like, I do like what they did this offseason, and they absolutely should get themselves to around 6 wins at least. And Aaron Glenn is a bit of a motivator. Like, he gets his guys to get off on moral victories and things like that. I hope that they can live off that, though, because I don't think Woody Johnson will let them do anything other than have moral victories. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles, over under 10.5 wins. Eagles last year finished first in the NFC East with 11 wins, 6 losses. We've already kind of talked about this a little bit. I feel like they took a little bit of a step back.
100%. I do think they did.
They're going to lose A.J. Brown. Mekhi Lemon is a good get, but not a one-for-one replacement whatsoever. Very different types of play. I actually think Mekhi Lemon might work better with Jalen Hurts' style of play as well. But I think that they are probably right around that 10-11 win range again. And I think that the Cowboys had the possibility of coming in and knocking them in the teeth. Another over-under win total for me that is personally like right at where I expect them to be. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take the over 10.5 because I think they'll get to 11 wins at plus 125 odds. But I do feel like that is Vegas trying to set up silly Eagles fans. Because Eagles fans are going to be like, of course we're going to get at least 11 wins.
Yeah, I feel like everybody...
And they're giving us plus 125? Yeah, fuck it. We'll go with the under. We're going with the under. I'm not going to be fooled.
I'm going with the under as well. Listen, when you look at what they did in the offseason, it all sounds really, really good, right? Like, you add Mekhi Lemon, you draft Eli Stowers as well. The defense is still really, really good. But when you think about all the things that are going on around this team that are maybe not football related, and all the conversations that are being had about Jalen Hurts and how difficult he is, and the way this team operates, and Sirianni, and it just feels like this fucking relationship is headed towards a divorce. We know that AJ Brown will probably end up not being on this team at some point, like you said. I don't know how that relationship will continue. There's just so much shit going on with this team that while they are a good football team, there are a lot of fucking good football players on this football team. I feel like, and we've seen it this last year for sure, they are susceptible to being completely flat and just not showing up on any given Sunday. So I'm going to go with the under as well.
All righty. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers over under 7.5 wins. They obviously were able to make it to playoffs last year at 10-7, barely eking out that division. Aaron Rodgers, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, he's probably fucking coming back. They get Moonface McCarthy in there to be their new head coach. What are your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers moves this offseason, Mike?
Pittsburgh Steelers can suck my dick is what I think about the Pittsburgh Steelers moves this offseason.
Nice.
Outside of that, though, yeah, I mean, I believe that what they did made a lot of sense for them. They added Rico Dowdle to help out of Jalen Warren. I like their trade of Michael Pittman, Jeremy Bernard as a draft pick. Like, that's a very solid wide receiver group. The offensive line last year was not great, but they added Max Ironacre to that group as well. Like, they found ways to help fill the holes that this team had, with the exception of the most fucking important one. And the guy who will be filling that hole eventually is currently filling the hole of an imaginary person at his house. Aaron Rodgers' wife is telling him, it's okay, baby. Everybody loves you. Just wait to go to camp. And by Aaron Rodgers' wife, I mean the voices he hears in his head after the ayahuasca trips. I think they go under. This is going to be the first time that the Steelers have had a losing record in quite some time, and it's because Mike Tomlin's not their fucking head coach. Moonface McCarthy is going to take this team to 7-9. Give me the under on the Steelers.
All right. Steelers, 19th hardest schedule this year. I'm going to go with the over. I think that they can get to 8 wins. 9 wins might be pushing it, because I do like the moves that they made this offseason, but I still think that they're just a middling team, and that puts them in that perfect kind of sweet spot to really kind of be out of reach of the top, like, couple good quarterbacks in the draft, which they need. So I'll go with the over.
And I misspoke. I'm sorry. 7-10, not 7-9. That's the old football. They'll go 7-10. They are not going to win enough games. They're going under.
With the 8 wins, they can still have that losing season. So I
true.
like that. I like that bet.
Listen,
but I think that they made some decent moves, and Aaron Rodgers being a piece of shit.
That's the thing. It's just
still
Aaron
keeping.
Rodgers. It all hinges on Aaron Rodgers, man. If he plays good, I guess then sure. But
he won't. I mean, he won't. He didn't last year. He's bad. As a person, he's bad. And as a football player, he's middling at best. Next up, San Francisco 49ers. Over under 10.5 wins. They are going to stick it out next to the power substation.
Yeah.
And they got themselves a really nice, shiny gunner in the draft, DeJon Stribling. According to, obviously their media video that they have out there of DeJon doing really cool punt gunning,
yeah,
which makes all the sense because Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah went to the 49ers this offseason, and he did the same thing with Ty Felton last year. Let's overdraft this receiver, and he's a gunner, so that added value. Yeah, man. I'm going with the under on this one. Like, I think the 49ers are going to be competitive. They're going to be around that 8 to 9 wins, though. 10 is their high water mark for me, which means I don't think that they make the 10.5. So I will go with the under on this one.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, man. 10 was my high water mark. So I have to go with the under. The power substation story will never go away. It's hilarious to me. I love the addition of Mike Evans. But
I like Mike Evans. I don't care for the addition of Mike Evans.
I like the addition of Mike Evans because it gives them something they did not necessarily have. They had a possession receiver. They didn't necessarily have a guy that goes and wins downfield and wins a jump ball. So for them, that is going to be a big deal. George Kittle was that guy for a little while that could go win a jump ball, but George has been hurt year after year. Like he's still coming, and he's coming off an injury again. They add Tongas, sure. I didn't love what they did in their draft. The 49ers are a solid team almost always, but I don't know that they got much better at all. So yeah, I would go the under here as well.
Maybe this is controversial at this point in their careers. I would have felt more comfortable if I was a 49ers fan with keeping Juwan Jennings than paying the money to bring in a Mike Evans. So I think that's
receivers, though, in my mind.
They are. I mean, Juwan Jennings ran a 4.73 and was a 7th round pick. But he's a good possession receiver. They call him third and Juwan because he was just the guy they always went to, regardless of the yardage on third down, and more often than not came down with it. He's got a dog mentality to him. Mike Evans, his 1,000-yard streak was broke, but that's because he was broke and he continually is getting hurt and he's pretty old. Like, I respect Mike Evans. He's been fantastic, but at this point in time, you're betting on a guy that hasn't been able to stay on the field, and you're putting him up to a power substation versus a guy that's 28 years old and knows your team and has stepped up from being a number 3 to your number 1 receiver multiple times over the past several years. I feel like that was a little bit of a downgrade. They're going to be a competitive team, but they also lost their defensive coordinator again. I'm kind of, the 49ers are going to be good. They have good coaching. They have some good players, but 10 wins is the max for me. So they're under.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Seahawks, who are right around that same range, over under 10.5, coming off of the Super Bowl. Over -135, under +115. Listen, I think the loss of Kenneth Walker will play a factor. I think that Jadarian Price could be a really good bet. I think that Charbonnet not being there at the beginning of the year will also be a factor. This team is good. They're very good. They just won a fucking Super Bowl. So I don't want to sound like I'm trying to bash this team in any regard. But Kenneth Walker was a huge piece to that team. Huge piece in my mind. The loss of that and the two-headed back field that they had kind of predicated their offense on not being there takes them a step back in my mind. I got them going under the 10.5 wins.
I'm going to go over, and I'll push back on your Kenneth Walker piece because you and I are both big Kenneth Walker fans.
Yes.
And we were both people who got bit by Kenneth Walker being on our fantasy teams because the Seattle Seahawks did not fucking use him. They're in a situation.
They didn't use him between the fucking 20s. That's the problem. Is that they used him between the 20s, not inside the 20s. Is that we weren't getting any goddamn fantasy points from fucking touchdowns. But Kenneth Walker was used quite a bit in the middle of the field.
He was used a decent amount, but even then, still, it was a lot closer to a 50-50 share with Charbonnet getting it. Now, obviously, Charbonnet is going to be hurt, but you have Jadarian Price, who's going to, I think, fit into that Kenneth Walker role pretty well. I think Jadarian Price is going to be pretty good, but they didn't use Kenneth Walker to his full potential until the playoffs. And so the loss of Kenneth Walker, you can almost replace a lot of what he did because you're not having to have a guy that's your all-around back. There's going to be a drop-off to Jadarian Price. Even though I think he's going to be good, there's still going to be a drop-off, but the drop-off isn't going to be as precipitous as it could be. And then, the scheme is probably going to change a little bit there on offense, but other than that, you do still have Sam Darnold. You do still have JSN, and you have a extremely good fucking defense. I do think that there's going to be a regression here, but I still think they get to double-digit wins. And I think that could be around that 11 to 12 win total. So I will go with the over on it. I do think that they take a step back for sure. I don't think it's going to be a huge step back, though, because I think that franchise has just done a fantastic job. They have really good starters and really good depth, and pretty solid coaching. So I'm all for that Seahawks team still getting above the 10.5 win total.
Right.
Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers over under 8.5 wins. The Bucs got 8 wins last year, and this offseason, I can't say that they did a whole lot to really get that much better. I mean, I do like some of the draft pieces. Ruben Bain's nice. Ted Hurst is nice. And I like that for their future. But it's tough to say those draft picks are going to make some sort of an immediate impact there. Todd Bowles, I think, is on the hot seat for sure.
I know fucking Tank wants his ass gone.
I think most Buccaneers fans want his ass gone. I think the Saints got better this year. The Saints could easily be in that 8 and 9 mix with every other fucking team in this division.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with the under on this one. I think that they could get 8 wins again, which puts them in the under.
This team should have been pretty decent last year. At least it was what we thought was going to happen, right? And then when you look at what they lost in the offseason and what they gained, it wasn't a huge net positive, net loss, because Mike Evans, excuse me.
Shut the fuck up.
You're welcome. While he is a staple in that franchise, obviously was hurt and was not necessarily Mike Evans of old last year. I think it's possible they could go and hit the over here. They could win 9 games, go 9 and 8. But they're right in that 9 and 8 range, 8 and 9 range. I will join you, and I will go on the under as well. I don't trust the Bucs. I don't trust Todd Bowles, and obviously Baker has had moments, but he's also had moments where he makes you think, God damn it, what the fuck are you thinking?
All right. Second to last team here, Tennessee Titans, over under of 6.5 wins. Titans obviously very bad last year, but things are trending in a better direction. You get Cam Ward in his second year. You get Robert Saleh, a good coach. You bring in some good pieces there through the draft and through free agency. They are playing in a tough division with some of those teams there, in my opinion. The Colts, Texans, obviously, I think could be good. Jaguars, I think, take a step back, but it's tough to overlook their 13 wins last year. 6.5 wins, though. I'm not so sure that they're going to get 7. 6, maybe 7. Right. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to lean with the under just because I think that this is a work in progress for this team. I like Saleh. I like what they're going to be doing there. I don't think it's going to happen in 1 year. So getting to 6 wins means they doubled their wins from last year. That's a good step in the right direction. So I'll go with the under here.
Yeah, I have to join you as well. I do think that they will be better, but they're not going to get way better. They're not going to be the team that fucking comes up out of nowhere and surprisingly makes the playoffs. I just don't see that in their future. So under 6.5 feels like the right thing. I'm going to join you there on that.
All right. And then we come to our last team here, Washington Commanders, over under 7.5 wins. Commanders obviously just riddled with injuries last year that completely threw them off. Only 5 wins. Jaden Daniels down for a lot of it. That defense looked old. Running back room, I don't think is fixed from last year, and it wasn't great. Just getting Jaden Daniels back should net you several more wins. I think it gets them to 8 wins to hit that over.
I do. I mean, I think Jaden Daniels is the best young quarterback in the league. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I think that the injuries last year obviously derailed this team this season. If Jaden Daniels is fully healthy, everything comes back. I like what this team has done. I really think that, they improved the defensive side of the ball. They were getting really, really old at linebacker, especially. They go out. I mean, Sonny Styles, I think, is going to be huge for them. I think as long as injuries are not a massive factor again, this team wins double-digit games. So over 7.5 feels very doable for me. I think they can win 10.
I'm not sure I'm there with you on the double digits, but I do think that they go over 7.5. I think they'll be close to 9 to 10 wins, possibly, if things start to align, if Jaden Daniels stays healthy. I like some of the moves that they made for sure in the draft. The moves that they made in free agency, I think, were solid pieces, but not needle movers really anywhere. And so I think that at worst, they have more depth to kind of hedge against some of those injury issues. The biggest one, obviously, though, is Jaden Daniels. So I think he probably will come back. He'll be relatively healthy. I think that gets him to that 8-9 win range, probably. So I will go with the over on this one.
All right. So I believe that wraps it up, my guy. That was the last one.
Yep, that is the last of all 32 teams. What a show, a long one here.
We did talk about doing divisions, but it's fucking 2 hours in, so I think we're going to push that off for another time. Technical issues at the beginning of the show really kind of pushed the time back. So everybody who is still here, thank you guys very fucking much. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some to me and Evo, we are forever grateful. I'm going to give Evo one last word. Then we're going to get out of here since we've stolen 2 hours of your time. Well, I apologize for the technical issues at the beginning of the show. Evo, go ahead. Take it away, brother.
Yeah, it's not looking good for my Wolves here, but maybe in the last 6 minutes and 55 seconds, we can somehow make a 20-some-odd point comeback. So go Wolves, baby.
Yeah. Good luck. Hopefully my Cavs can continue to play decent. Playoff James Harden needs to fucking figure it the fuck out. But, guys, thank you very much. Once again, this is Raw Dawg Sports. I'm Mike. That is Evo. If you wouldn't mind, like, share, subscribe before you get out of here. But with that, we are going to get out of here, and we will see you next week. See you.